drivers, and Danica, start your engine!
Pull those belts down tight one more time. Warm up those tires. Hit your marks and let's go racing, boys and girls. NASCAR, Indycar, Formula 1, and Formula E racing talk. This is the fastest hour in radio.
He's going to do it. He's going to win the race and the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship. California's Kevin Harvick-cousin. Holy cow! Chase Elliott is going to become the NASCAR Nationwide Series champion for 2014.
For the second in a row, Matt Crafton is the Camping World Truck Series champion.
3 times he has been denied an IndyCar championship. Well, not anymore. Will Power is an IndyCar champion.
Ladies and gentlemen, our 2014 FIA Formula 1 World Champion, Lewis Hamilton.
Here's your host, Steve West and Justin Harbour.
The 2016 racing season for all, or 2015, racing season for all intents and purposes is over.
Yeah, I do like the fact that you just said 2016, so.
Can you tell I'm anticipating?
Yeah, just a smidgen.
I can't wait for it.
I need to stop bouncing in my seat.
Get here. I'm already going through withdrawals. Last week, we had a race. I'm still going through withdrawals. Anyway, welcome into the show. Fastest hour in radio. I'm Steve West. Dustin Harmer, how are you, sir?
I'm doing outstanding, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. Gage over there on the board. How are you, sir?
I'm pretty good. Excited about today's show.
Yeah, well, try and keep up, okay?
All right.
Yeah, make the attempt. You'll be all right.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to expose different people to different things. John usually behind the board over there, but we need to make sure that Gage is still well practiced in how things go during the mornings. He's quite well practiced in the evenings. We got to change things up and make sure he's good for the mornings.
Yeah, he's thrown in with us so that way the wheels get moving fast.
Absolutely. Got to keep you on your toes over there, man.
Oh, yes.
Phone lines are open Saturday morning, obviously, 7:35 as I look at the clock right now. So the live edition of the show. So if you're listening Saturday evening or Sunday morning, sorry you missed out on your chance, but feel free to tune in at any point in time for the live version or the replays. 941-1011, toll-free 866-551-9933. Would love to hear from you between now and 8:30, or if you are a little shy when it comes to getting on the phone and getting on the air, maybe you go to social media.
That's right. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/thefastesthour in radio, on Twitter, @fastesthour, as well as Instagram, @fastesthour, and I promise you, by next year, I'm going to have this website up.
Now, I know this weekend is a big weekend. We've got a lot of football to talk about. Obviously, we're into teams that have chances to clinch playoff spots in the NFL beginning tomorrow, today. Obviously, we have the championship games from several different conferences. I'm sitting here wearing an Alabama jersey as they take on Florida.
Of course.
But you got Clemson versus North Carolina in the ACC, 2 top 10 teams going there. And if you look up, say, Michigan State taking on Iowa, Iowa's undefeated. I don't know where that came from. You know, that's a 4-5. There's a lot of good college football games going on out there. That's later.
Yeah.
Set aside a little bit of time.
Right now, though.
Let's talk racing.
Yes.
And by the way, we've done this the past couple of years. If you are a longtime listener to the show, we know that there's plenty of news to get through the off season that's going to cover us up. So, no, we're not planning on taking any time off whatsoever. You may not be in studio.
Right.
You've got a couple of weeks that you're going to be heading back up to Maryland.
That's right.
Celebrating Christmas with your family.
Yes.
Totally understand that, but you'll be by phone.
Yes, of course.
So we're going to be here. We're going to be live on December the 26th. We're going to be live on Saturday, January the 2nd as well.
Yes.
So we'll be here.
Well, and we talked about it, before when we started doing this show, it was, are we going to be able to do an off season? Are we going to be able to fill the offseason?
Yeah.
There is more information in the offseason than there is during the actual season.
Yeah, because they're doing so many different things that they're trying to work up to make sure that they're ready for the upcoming racing season, in this case, the 2016 racing season. And it doesn't matter which of the series we talk about, whether it's the top 3 NASCAR touring series, whether it's IndyCar, whether it's Formula 1, finding out quite a bit of news of Formula E. They're the one series that's going to keep going. The reason I said we have come to the end of the 2015 racing season is because Formula E is that weird thing that goes, it starts 2015 and goes into 20. It's kind of like a school year as opposed to an actual calendar year.
Well, it's you could kind of call it the Band-Aid that holds your mentality together through the off season.
Barely.
It's something.
Yeah, it is something.
Of course, you'd be better off with an RC race car, but
in some cases. But apparently that's what they're working on anyway. We talked about that last week.
Yeah.
Apparently they're going to work up the RC race car version of it because they want to have a driverless Formula E series, which is
I'd be pretty good at that probably.
Still can't wrap my mind around that idea.
I just need a remote. I'm pretty good. Hey, and if you're off season, you still got your games on your consoles.
That's true.
So.
That's true. And stay with us because we got a lot of news and we have some special stuff planned.
Yes, we do.
Late Model Mark, we're going to talk about this with him coming up in a little bit if he calls in today. I think he has every plan to, but I'm going to go if, just in case, maybe something happens. But we've been talking about this, and what we want to do is take at least a couple of these shows, and we want to highlight some of your local tracks as well. We've talked a lot, obviously, with Late Model Mark about Talladega Short Track, but there are plenty other tracks in and around the listening area, in and around the state, maybe just outside the actual listening area of 101.1 FM, but easily within travel distance of where we are. So we want to kind of highlight them so you get the idea of where it is that these kids come from, because they don't just grow on trees, folks. Jeff Gordon, who unfortunately, as we were talking about before the show started, got very emotional last night at the Sprint Cup Awards ceremony.
Made me cry.
And it's because of the fact that this is a guy who has driven some form of a race car, be it a go-kart or a stock car, since he was 5 years old.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, and that's the thing. You're talking about all the tracks around the area and everything. You're looking at the future of racing.
Yeah, this is where they're coming from.
I mean, we've had we've had a couple of young drivers on the show. We've had Bruce Skinner. We've had who else?
Oh, good grief! I've lost track of all the people that we've had on
the
show.
The Spurlocks on the show.
Yeah. So the talent is going to come from this area.
Yeah, so and that's
from these levels.
It's kind of our way to give back, so to speak, to the sport. You know, you need to know who's out there. You need to know who you're going to watch, because one of these days you're going to be following one of these young and upcoming drivers up into the top series. You're going to want to know all about him, and then you can say, I was there when he raced his first race at Talladega Short Track or East Alabama Speedway or wherever the case is.
Exactly.
You're going to get a chance to say that you were there.
There you go. All right, so one final race to detail of the 2015 racing season took place last Sunday morning, United States time. It was in Abu Dhabi out in the Middle East. Formula One put a bow on their year, and to no one's surprise, as it has been pretty much all season long, it was a Mercedes day or night. The main drama being which driver was going to finish first. I called it last week.
No, shut up.
It was Nico Rosberg. Bested his teammate Lewis Hamilton. Set a new precedent for him. He won for the first time in his career. You think about Nico Rosberg's success in this sport, and for the first time ever, he's won 3 races in a row. Congratulations to him. Rosberg took the lead at the beginning of the race. Despite the team using different strategies for him and Lewis Hamilton, he was able to hold off the 2015 champion. Hamilton and the team were debating a one-stop strategy. It was a move that initially had allowed him to lead some 10 laps right in the middle of the event. But once Nico Rosberg did pit, came back out on fresh tires, Lewis Hamilton was losing to his teammate like a second a lap, which is huge in Formula One.
Yeah, big time.
And the fresher tires, so it prompted them to call him into the pits. It left Hamilton finish more than 8 seconds behind Rosberg. Rosberg now goes into 2016 having earned the 3 consecutive wins and 6 straight pole positions.
So maybe they finally found something over for Rosberg.
Maybe they did. I don't know.
Are we going to see an interesting season next year?
I think we will.
I hope.
Following the 2 Mercedes drivers, the pair of Scuderia Ferrari drivers, Kimi Räikkönen getting on the podium, besting his teammate Sebastian Vettel, kind of a rare occurrence this season. So Sergio Perez, Daniel Ricciardo, you had Nico Hülkenberg, Felipe Massa, Romain Grosjean, 9th in his final race for Lotus, and Daniel Kvyat filling out the top 10. Final drivers' top 10 standings. We knew, obviously, 5 races to go in the season. Lewis Hamilton was your champion, racked up 381 points. Even with the 3 races won in a row, Nico Rosberg finishes second, 59 points down. That's how commanding that points lead was for Lewis Hamilton. Sebastian Vettel finishes third, 103 points back of Hamilton. Then Kimi Räikkönen, 231 points back, and Valtteri Bottas in fifth, 245 points behind the leader.
5th place, 245 points back.
Wow. Felipe Massa claims 6th in points, trailed by Daniel Kvyat, Daniel Ricciardo, then Sergio Perez and Nico Hülkenberg. If you look at that, and you go by what teams they're on, it's interesting to note this, that the drivers finished in Noah's Ark fashion. First and second place, both Mercedes. Third and fourth, both Ferrari. Fifth and sixth, Williams. Seventh and eighth, Red Bull. Sahara, Force India, ninth and 10th.
Oh, my gosh, that's right. That is so weird.
Then you get to the Constructors' Cup. Mercedes, as we had talked about, with 5 races left to go in the season, finishing with 703 points and walking off with the Cup, compared to Ferrari's second place total 458, Williams 257, Red Bull 187, Sahara Force India in fifth, tallying 136. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
My mind is blown.
See, you look for patterns and you find them.
This is like that number 23 movie with Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Look, find it.
Find it. You will notice patterns.
I'm totally I'm messed up now.
Lotus was 6th in points, then Toro Rosso, Sauber, McLaren, and then Manor Marussia, the only team not to score a championship point in 2015, 10th overall out of the 10 teams. So that's your season. That wraps it up. When we go in, there are people that are saying, not the least of which is people like Niki Lauda, Sir Jackie Stewart, who say that they think that Nico Rosberg has more than a 50-50 chance of winning the championship next year. So that would be 3 Mercedes championships in a row for their drivers anyway. But that said, you got Ferrari out there who say that their team up with a Haas Formula One seems to be netting them some benefits. So they feel like they're going to be better next year. McLaren Honda obviously feels like now that they've got this season under their belt, they can go full bore into next year and hopefully get rid of their quality control problems because they've had more than their share of those. So they think they're going to be a player. The team that I'm curious about for 2016 in Formula One, Williams.
I was just getting ready to say, you're probably going to say Williams.
Williams is the wild card for me here.
Yeah.
They took a major step up this past year.
Oh, yes.
I'm curious to see, now that they have the security of knowing Valtteri Bottas is there, that they have their driver lineup set and ready to go. How do they now transition into 2016? I think that they can continue to improve, but we have seen where you see that major leap, and then the next season, when you expect them to take the next step, they actually find themselves stepping back.
Yeah, and that's a thing you don't want to see, especially for a team like Williams. It's such a great rebound this year. But, I mean, I think next year, I know it's very, I mean, the season just ended.
Yeah.
And I know we want to get to the next racing season, but I think we're in for a great show next year when it comes to Formula One. Like you mentioned, you know, Mercedes on a roll, of course, but Ferrari's starting to get something there. People are starting to get things going. So this season was kind of, you know, we knew it was going to be done and over with, just the way that Mercedes was running.
Sure.
But if these teams can actually put something together and take those steps forward the way that Williams is, hopefully that big swing that they took doesn't fall back. But as long as they just continue to pick away at it, they'll get there.
Yeah.
I think Ferrari's going to have something for Mercedes next year, though. But Rosberg, I don't. You know what? I'm thinking if somebody's going to be able to do it, it's going to be Rosberg.
Yeah.
But these Ferraris are getting good.
The Ferraris are getting better. The team that I'm curious about, quite frankly, and it's not Haas F1. I mean, we're all going to be curious about it because it's a U.S.-based team.
Yeah.
But the team that I'm curious about as to whether they can rebound now that we have, and I'm going to kind of, foreshadow this, Lotus now knows their future.
Yes.
With their future set, can they rebound? We saw some good things out of them in 2014, but all the uncertainty there, and quite frankly, the fact that they really weren't doing all that well financially, they didn't have a great year this year.
Well,
can they rebound next year?
They can. They can because of the fact of going into this season, they didn't know what was going to happen. They weren't really sure, like you said. So the thing is now they've got things set. This should be able to put them right on track where they need to be. They can have another 2014 season or better.
Yeah, I hope so. We'll get back to that coming up a little bit later on. Right now, calling out of Decatur, Mike checking in with us. Mike wants to talk a little Formula One and Indy, some open wheel racing. Not something that is huge down here, but hey, we're trying to expand out everybody here. Hi, Mike. How are you this morning?
All right. How y'all doing?
Doing well. What you got on your mind?
I'm not trying to plug Barber, but we're planning on going to the next Indy race, and I didn't really know what is it like general admission, or do they have any grandstands, or bring your chair and pick a spot of grass?
They have some grandstands, but even the grandstands are general admission. For the most part, it's there are plenty of good places. We found ourselves up near one of the final turns before they go down the front straightaway up to a point where we can see the cars going into the pits up on the hill. So,
great views.
Yeah, it just kind of depends on what it is that you're looking for. There are a couple of places where you can go to grandstands, but again, everything's general admission. So whatever you buy your ticket for, you can go find whatever spot you want to go sit.
Okay, I didn't know. We're going to try to go. And then I had a question about F1. There's rumors. I know they built that track not long ago in Austin.
Yeah.
I've also heard rumors that they were planning on bringing maybe another track and a race to the U.S., and then we've been hearing that they may even be pulling out of Austin. So I didn't know if y'all heard any rumors or talk about it. Or
we have. We'll deal with the situation at Circuit of the Americas. They had a pretty bad weekend this year because Hurricane, I think it was Patricia, came up and landed just off the shore of Mexico. And we'll talk about that coming up a little bit. And it dumped a whole lot of rain up there on that particular race weekend, and it caused a lot of people to kind of stay away. So they took a pretty big hit, and the amount of money that the Texas Sports Board, and they have another name for it, and I can't think of it right offhand, they're not going to give quite as much money for big event things like that. So at this point in time, they're trying to find funding over there for Circuit of the Americas, but they're on the provisional schedule for 2016 right now. And as far as another race, Bernie Ecclestone has said that he wouldn't mind getting another race, and he's thinking somewhere out in California.
That's too far. That's even further. Oh, well, you never know.
Well, hey, Mike, just so you know, I looked it up real quick, and you can go check it out yourself as well for the official site of Barber Motorsports Park. It's barbermotorsports.com. Ticket sales right now, I just checked it out online. You're looking at Sunday general admission for the race, $39, and you can get the paddock upgrade where you can go down in the paddock for an extra $20. So general admission on Sunday, $39. Go check it out.
Man, that sounds good. Well, I appreciate the info, guys. Y'all have a good day.
We'll do it. Thanks a whole lot, Mike. We appreciate the call.
Thanks, Mike.
And then our friends down at our great sponsors, Wild Vapors, down in Sylacauga.
Yeah.
Burl, longtime listener to the Fastest Hour in Radio, also out of Sylacauga.
Oh,
Hi,
yeah.
Burl. Long time no talk to.
Yeah, how you doing, man?
Doing well. What you got on your mind today?
That was an excellent wrap-up of the Formula One season. Are you guys going to be at Barber next year?
Yes, we will.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to try and look you up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I went this past year was the first time I've been to the Indycar race there.
Yeah, what'd you think?
Oh, it was excellent, man. I forget the guy's name that won it. But man, once he hit the point, he really checked out.
Yeah, it's amazing how sometimes you can get that going when it comes to street or road course races like this. But yeah, you want to talk about being able to get that car hooked up? Did a very fine job of doing that.
Yeah, but I just want to thank you for keeping us informed of what's going on in Formula One, and we'll see you at Barber's.
Sounds good. Give us a call closer to Barber. That way maybe we know exactly where we're going to end up being seated so you can come and find us, okay?
Okie doke.
Sounds good. Burl, you have a good one now, okay?
Thanks,
you
bro.
too.
All right, thanks a whole lot. Don't forget, you can call 941-1011, toll-free 866-551-9933.
That's right, that's right.
All right, so here we go. Let's get into the off-the-track news here, and we start up in the front offices here.
Big news.
A couple of weeks ago, we talked about Brent Jukes leaving and accepting a job with an Atlanta PR firm. I was wondering whether that meant that at the top of NASCAR's level, we were going to suddenly see, for lack of a better term, rats jumping off the sinking ship. Maybe. NASCAR's senior vice president of competition, Robin Pemberton, announced that he is going to resign from his post. He's leaving NASCAR officially at the end of this year, December 31st. Pemberton joining NASCAR after ending his career in racing as a crew chief back in August of 2004. He's been in charge of the competition side for most of that time. Pemberton, of all things, likely best known for sending down that boys have at it mantra back in 2010. Pemberton did not say what he would be moving on to. But this is a big cog, if you will, in the gears of NASCAR.
Oh, this is huge. I mean, there is an asterisk on that boys have at it. But
obviously.
But this is huge. And we've been talking about maybe it's time for a change. A lot of the race car fans have been talking about, maybe it's time for a change. It's time to mix things up. We're talking about the chases mixing up and everything else. They're looking at the chase for possibly instituting some sort of a chase for the trucks as well as the Xfinity.
Right.
So this is just a step towards the right direction. Change is good.
Right.
And for a lot of NASCAR fans, this is the change that they want to see. Mm-hmm. But Robin Pemberton has brought an amazing amount of greatness to the sport. on the NASCAR side of the house. The boys have at it, asterisk. But the thing is he's been a very vital part in growing.
Yeah, we'll give credit where it is due. I mean, what he has done, knowing the fact that the latter end of NASCAR season goes up against college and pro football, which this is a college and pro football crazy nation, not just state, but nation. He knows that he's got to do something, and some people might say artificially bringing drama in, but whatever it did, it created enough interest to keep things going and moving along for NASCAR at a time, especially from about 09 or 10 up until now, where we have experienced this changeover in how much support there is out there as far as sponsorship is concerned. So
a lull in the fans for a while.
So we've been kind of going through a turbulent time in NASCAR's time, and he's the one that has kind of helped it go through and at least keep some interest in it. Again, even if you believe that it's somewhat artificial, it's still there. So we got to give some credit and realize what Robin Pemberton has done, but is this something that can be sustained long term becomes the question. And then that brings us to the point where they already have announced the guy who's going to take over for Robin Pemberton when officially he's done, and that man is Scott Miller. Scott Miller will report directly to the Executive Vice President and Chief Racing Development Officer. We've talked about him many times. Steve O'Donnell comes on board at NASCAR's HQ from his post at the now defunct Michael Waltrip Racing. Not, by the way, the fault of Scott Miller.
Yeah, definitely not by his fault. Don't worry about that.
He was the team's executive vice president of competition. He helped at least one Michael Waltrip Racing car make the chase for the Sprint Cup in 3 of the past 4 years. Also has been the crew chief in Richard Childress Racing back in 2008. For Jeff Burton, he himself was a racer, started in motorcycles in the 1970s, moved to NASCAR in 1981 before he retired from driving and went on to work for crews in both IndyCar and then NASCAR, coming back to NASCAR in 1995. So he's a guy who knows racing from the nuts and bolts situation, kind of like Robin Pemberton.
Yes.
Now we get to find out, does he have any different ideas other than what Robin Pemberton will leave on the desk?
And you make a very good point there. What types of changes could he bring in? Each person can only bring so much to the table. So Robin Pemberton has brought everything he possibly can to the sport. So now it's kind of hit that point where I can't do anything else for the sport. If I do anything else, it's going to degrade it.
Yeah.
So he gives up his position. Now we bring in somebody else who brings in some new, fresh ideas, just more ways that we can rejuvenate and revitalize this series and make it as great as it once was and get it back, hopefully, to where it was, where we get that fan base back and the fans are growing again. I mean, we see it out at
slowly
Talladega.
but surely, yeah.
It's getting there.
We're seeing a short attention span kind of thing. I've seen many people talking about it. You get a weekend that's cool or rainy at for example, a Bristol, which Bristol at one point in time in the night race is still one of the more anticipated tickets, one of the more hard to get tickets in NASCAR. But you go to the spring race, which is a daytime race, and weather has been a bit of an issue, and people, for whatever reason, they kind of stay away.
Dover's the same type of way. I mean, we're always having issues of weather at Dover.
So we got to figure out what we can do to keep them there, despite the fact that it rains. That's becoming something of a trick here.
Well, the chase, that new chase that we've got, that new chase format has really stepped it up.
Yeah.
I think we had a great chase last year.
Yeah.
This year, I think it was even better. There was more drama. There was more going on. You really had to follow. You had to really be in tune for every week what was happening. We saw the likes of Joey Logano win 3.
Sure.
We
and
want to
find himself out the
and
next
again
round.
completely be out.
Yeah.
So that's the types of thing. This is the stuff we need. I think he's going to bring something great to the table.
We shall find out. According to NASCAR Chief Operating Officer Brent Dewar and the head of the Race Team Alliance, Rob Kaufman, speaking of old Michael Waltrip Racing people, the two sides are cautiously optimistic on an agreement that could change how NASCAR has been run since 1948. Kaufman told media in Las Vegas Thursday, quote, "We're close. Definitely, like most things, the devil is in the details. There's a large amount of contractual stuff. We are on a good track," unquote. For what? Franchising, apparently. The two sides believe that moving to a franchise base of ownership would raise the value of the teams and would help them in either selling off the entire team or pieces of the team as they wish. This is something that has been talked about on several levels. For example, 3-time champion and Hall of Famer Darrell Waltrip said he was starting to say this back, I want to say, mid to late 1990s, that he felt like franchising was the future of NASCAR. It's taken them 20 years since he talked about that to get them to the point where they're almost ready to implement it. I'm still a little curious as to how they're going to make the transition from all of these teams as they sit now and turn them all into franchises. I haven't figured those details out, and I think that's where they're going. Yeah. The devil is in the details.
Yeah, and we talked about it on the show when we actually heard them talking about franchising before. It was actually earlier this year we were talking about this, and we kind of went back and forth trying to figure out how exactly are they going to make this work. I still don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to hear what these details are that he talks about.
As that devil gets released, we'll let you know.
Yeah.
Another change would be the drop in the number of cars each race. This is a little weird to me, but nothing confirmed. But should the deal as initially presented be approved, the number of entries for any given race in the Sprint Cup Series goes down from 43 to 40. And they would bring back the guaranteed start of 36 for those cars. 36 of those cars would be guaranteed a start. Not sure how that would work. I don't know whether they would do it on car owner points like they did before or not. Should the agreement be approved, the adjustment would begin, by the way, for the 2016 season. So we got about 2 months, give or take. It's like 2 months and 2 weeks, I think, until we get to the Daytona 500. So there's not a whole lot of time to implement this.
There is not. So you make sure you stay tuned in each and every week, because if you don't, you will be lost.
There you go. Stewart Haas Racing has decided, as mentioned last week on the show, to bring the man nicknamed Booga as the crew chief for Tony Stewart the final season, or for his final season of Sprint Cup Series racing. Mike Boogerech, as I found out his name is pronounced, takes over for the team from team engineer of the Kevin Harvick SHR team to call the shots for Smoke, looking to improve on his worst full season points finish, 28th in a full-time season for him. Less expected was the change on the pit box for Danica Patrick. In the same announcement for the 14 confirming Booga was taking over, the organization announced they promoted 2015 crew chief Daniel Knost. I've been always pronouncing it Nost. It's Knost. Kind of like canals. Knost to the company's manager of vehicle dynamics. It puts him in charge of each of the 4 cars' racing performance. I think that says something for what they feel about his abilities.
Oh, yeah.
Taking Knost's place on top of the war wagon, former Michael Waltrip Racing crew chief Billy Scott. Scott had been the crew chief of the 55 in 2014, and through the midway part of 2015, when they moved him over to the 15 of Clint Boyer, he helped make that car get into the chase for the Sprint Cup. They noted that Scott had worked under Kevin Harvick's crew chief Rodney Childers when they both worked at Michael Waltrip Racing, worked as a race engineer under Childers until he left to take over as Harvick's crew chief in 14. Childers will remain as the crew chief of the 4-car for Kevin Harvick. Kurt Busch and crew chief Tony Gibson remain at the helm of the 41 for that team. But changes coming to Stewart Haas Racing. We'll see if the 4 and 41 can continue their momentum, while the 14 and the 10 try and step up, or step back up in the case of the 14.
Hey, they need to do something.
And they did. We'll continue talking about Tony Stewart. He's had a little tiff with his insurance company. We'll talk about that right after we take this break. Halfway point.
Back to green flag action on the fastest hour in radio on Superstation 101.
It's the Kyle Busch theme song. Sorry. Yeah,
I love it.
Welcome back into the fastest
Great
hour in
leg,
radio.
Kyle.
I'm Steve West. Dustin Harmer, Gage on the board. Foo Fighters bringing us back in for the second half of the show here. We left off talking about Stewart Haas Racing. They have switched out the crew chiefs for both Tony Stewart and Danica Patrick. Meantime, Tony Stewart is having he's having a time with his insurance company. Axis Insurance, AXIS, filed paperwork back in September, claimed that they should not be held financially responsible for the incident that ended up in the death of the local New York driver Kevin Ward Jr. at Canandaigua Motorsports Park back in August of 2014. Family of Kevin filed a wrongful death civil suit against the 3-time Cup Series champion back in August, say that they are seeking unspecified damages from Smoke. Smoke then filed with his insurance company, claiming 3 months ago that clauses in his agreement with the company preclude him personally having to pay any damages. Well, Stewart's lawyers filed a counterclaim against Axis, claiming that those same clauses cite the company is responsible for such payouts should they be mandated by the court. Axis is claiming that it only covers such events where Tony Stewart Racing, that's his subsidiary, his dirt track stuff that covers World of Outlaws and things like that, is officially entered into the event regardless of the driver, stating that the event at Canandaigua Motorsports Park does not qualify under those circumstances. Stewart's counterclaim says that his policy, quote, provides Axis with the right and the duty to defend any lawsuit asserting covered liabilities. So this is going to be a back and forth subplot to the civil suit.
Okay, so for those of us who are now going, what?
Yeah, welcome
Break
to
that
legalese.
down Barney style.
Basically, AXA says because Tony Stewart didn't enter under Tony Stewart Racing, we're not liable for the events that took place, and should Tony Stewart be found liable and have to pay any money, he'll have to pay it out of his own pocket. Tony Stewart says, no, the clauses that you cite actually state the other. You still have to pay it out.
Will this end?
Not until they get this thing taken care of in civil court.
They have to, and I'm hoping that we get this done before he has to go into his final season, because he does not need this on his mind through the final season.
I'm hoping that they can take care of this either this month or next month. I'm thinking next month. I'm hoping that they can get this thing done.
Yeah, I fully agree, because I am so far over this, it's not even funny.
And as far as our opinions about what the Ward family has done,
don't bring it.
We're just going to leave that there. We've said it many times. All right, back into more on-track kind of stuff here. On Monday, Joe Gibbs Racing released a statement, said that their driver of the number 11, Denny Hamlin, underwent successful ACL surgery. Hamlin, of course, suffered that injury back in September as he was playing a pickup basketball game, but he made the decision to delay the surgery until after the season. Ran the final 11 races with that torn ACL, but didn't show any real effects from the pain when it came to driving, and that's something to say because it was his right knee. This is the one that deals with the acceleration and the braking.
Mm-hmm.
Mark, the second time, by the way, he's going to undergo ACL rehab situation because he tore the ACL in his left knee back in 2010 playing a game of pickup basketball.
Here's my thing.
Stop playing pickup basketball?
Yeah, that would be it. I think there's going to be something in his contract that says he cannot play basketball at all.
I like your thinking. Denny Hamlin, while he made the chase, ended up finishing 15th in the final Sprint Cup Series standings, did not have a good first round in the chase for the Sprint Cup, and that was effectively all that there was to it. But he was able, for the most part, to keep speed up. That was the thing. And again, don't underestimate the pain that a torn ACL will cause as you go back and forth from accelerator to brake pedal. It's there. Trust me, it's there.
Oh, yeah, it's there all the time.
Yep. When Hamlin comes back, he's going to have a new crew chief. Dave Rogers going to be moving into the same role, crew chief, of the number 19 of Carl Edwards. Edwards' 2015 crew chief, Darian Grubb, has been let go from the organization.
Wow.
This came down Thursday, and I went, hey, excuse me?
Yeah, that's huge.
Mike Wheeler, known as Wheels within the organization, is going to move up from the car engineer role with the number 11 Toyota Camry to the crew chief role. Here's the thing. No word on what may happen with Darian Grubb. Darian Grubb led Tony Stewart to the 2011 Cup Series championship, moved over. He helped Denny Hamlin win several races, been involved and done quite well in the chase for the Sprint Cup. Didn't get him to help him win the title. Now, all of a sudden, he's gone from there, too.
Yeah, I mean,
is this a Darian Grubb problem? I mean, what's the deal?
I'm starting to feel that it is a Darian Grubb problem. I mean, this is just pure speculation. But you look at the fact of what he did for Tony Stewart, and then they parted ways.
Yeah.
We all knew that was going to happen. But then he goes over to Hamlin, works with Hamlin, comes over to the 19 of Edwards, gets him 5th in the chase, and now he's gone again. I'm starting to feel that maybe this is a...
It's got to be a personality issue.
It's got to be some type of a personality issue. I see him landing somewhere. I don't know where right now. Mm-hmm. I'm sure we're going to find out. But for him to go untapped as a vital resource, if he can maybe figure out what that problem is, he could be extremely vital to any team.
He really could. A sponsor for Richard Childress Racing has fled the building and moved over to, of all places, Hendrick Motorsports. Quicken Loans, which sponsored Ryan Newman since his final year at Stewart Haas Racing 2 years ago, moved over with him to help sponsor the 31 at Richard Childress Racing, is moving again, this time to the 5 car of Casey Kane. Quicken Loans going to be on the hood of the 5 as the primary sponsor for 3 races next year and an associate sponsor for the remainder of the season. I find this an interesting move because Casey Kane, in the 2 years that we're talking about Ryan Newman being at Richard Childress Racing, Ryan Newman has been in the chase both years.
Yes.
Casey Kane made one, missed one. Ryan Newman seems to be the more, if not spectacular, certainly the more steady of the 2 drivers. Why this?
This is a weird thing, but we've seen a lot of sponsors leave RCR. I mean, you look when Kevin Harvick left and went over to Stewart Haas, Budweiser left, Jimmy Johnson
everybody with him.
He took everybody with him. The thing is Casey Kane had an off year. He didn't have a great year last year, but he had a much better year than he had this year. It just could not work right for that 5 team over there.
Yeah.
And for Casey, I feel bad for him because you look at the chase this year, you had Gordon, Jr., and Johnson all in the chase, Kane on the outside looking in. I think that they've got to figure a way to kind of circle the wagons, so to speak, and rally around this 5 car. I think this is definitely a good start. I think Quicken Loans sees something in Casey Kane that a lot of us do.
You might be right.
This could be that season that he breaks back out.
Okay. As you look at the rundown, the next story deals with how much money. Don't look ahead. Look at me.
Okay.
Look at me.
I'm looking.
Look at me. I want to see if you can guess this.
Okay, follow the finger. Got it.
Forbes magazine compiled their 2015 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series biggest moneymakers. This is just for the 2015 season. Okay.
Okay.
On top of the pile, who made the most money? If you were to guess, who made the most money from on-race activities?
Are we talking about drivers or teams?
Drivers.
Dale Earnhardt Jr.
No.
What?
2014 Sprint Cup Series champion Kevin Harvick is the number one moneymaker on track in 2015. More than $9 million from on-track activities alone.
He's going to spend a lot of money on go-karts for Keelan.
Yeah, no kidding. Trailing him, Joey Logano, who made just over $8.4 million, big chunk of that, Daytona 500.
Yes.
That's a big check, by the way. Jimmy Johnson tallying $7.2 million. Denny Hamlin brought in more than $6.5 million. And in fifth is Brad Keselowski's total of just under $6.5 million. You don't get to Dale Jr. until you get to number 6.
You know, it makes sense. You know why it makes sense? Look at all the top twos that Harvick had this year. Now it makes sense.
Yep. He had, 4 wins?
4 wins on the season.
4 wins and 13 top twos.
Well, including Homestead, I think that was 14, wasn't it?
It's 13 or 14. I can't remember which. I want to say it
there was a
12.
lot of top twos.
Either way, yeah. So he's got 4 wins, and then on top of the 4 wins, he's got another 13 or 14 second-place finishes. So there you go.
Yeah, that makes sense now.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jeff Gordon each over $6 million. Matt Kenseth, Martin Truex Jr., and Ryan Newman all made more than $5 million. Also making more than $5 million in 2015, Clint Boyer, Greg Biffle, Eric Almirola, and Jamie McMurray. Now, despite winning 5 races on the year and claiming the Sprint Cup Series championship, Kyle Busch, because he missed 11 races in 2015, sits 17th on the overall list. Don't cry for him. He made just under $4.9 million.
Hey, Kyle, I want you to go out there and break a leg next year, buddy.
Yeah, really.
You can really top that 4.9 next year.
I think he probably could.
That shows you 11 races sitting out what that can do for your overall money make for the year.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Even though you grab a championship.
Yep. Speaking of money, the magazine also ranked the earnings of the Sprint Cup Series team. I don't think this will come as anybody's big shock that the biggest moneymaker was Hendrick Motorsports. They earned more than $24 million overall in 2015, but it was a lot closer. Joe Gibbs Racing earned just shy of $24 million, so it's closer than what I would have thought it would have been. Stewart Haas Racing is next. They pulled in more than $21.7 million. Richard Childress Racing then trails well back, $16.1 million. Rounding out your top 5, Team Penske just short of $14.9 million. Rest of your top 10 teams in order, Roush Fenway Racing, Chip Ganassi Racing with Felix Sabates. The now defunct Michael Waltrip Racing also made more than $10 million last year. Then you got Richard Petty Motorsports and Furniture Row Racing making just under $10 million and a little more than $5.3 million, respectively.
Can I make my joke?
Please.
Okay, so here it comes. Stewart Haas Racing, 21.7? They probably would have been top on the list. They didn't have to pay for all those 10 cars.
Saw that one coming.
You know,
and if you didn't,
you know it's coming.
If you didn't, you're not looking at the signposts of this show.
Yeah, you have to.
Yes.
This is the basis of the show for me.
What I'm impressed by is you look at what these teams were able to do, and you go back to the last team I mentioned, Furniture Row Racing.
Yeah,
self-supported. By Furniture Row. That's the name of the company. Self-supported by them. The guy who runs that and the furniture place, Barney Visser. $5.3 million. Not horrible for a one-car operation.
Yeah, especially a team that made it to the top 4.
Yes.
We've seen them in the chase the past 2 seasons.
Yep.
They're doing a great job. I tell you what, and I know we talked about it already, but I just love this fit of Martin Truex Jr. at Furniture Row.
Yeah.
This is here is what they needed. This is what they're going to do. They're going to go forward. We're going to see them move up. This is exactly that shot in the arm that both Martin needed and Furniture Row Racing.
There you go. Same magazine ranked the 25 most powerful women in sports. The top of the list, NASCAR CEO Lisa France Kennedy serves as the vice chairman for the board of directors for our other boss, International Speedway Corporation. They're the parent company of Talladega Superspeedway. They pay our checks. They pay Dustin and me each race weekend for being 2 of the 3 public address announcers. So I have to put that out there.
Yes, get paid.
I'm not just putting this out there just, to tout ourselves. I'm trying to let you know, hey, I'm trying to be the journalist here and say, yes, they are my boss.
Yes.
But Forbes magazine has ranked her number 1 over all other women in all other sports combined.
Yes.
So congratulations to her.
Good job, boss.
So we have the Chase for the Sprint Cup Series format, the new format, which under the rules they are now, you got 16 drivers competing for the title using an elimination format. Well, we've documented how well it seems to work, and if you don't know, well, what have you been doing during the history of the show? Anyway, that said, we know that if you're in the top 30 in points, you got to win, you're in the chase. Some were worried that a driver might conceivably claim a win but then not get in the chase. Last year, not a problem. So how close were we to having a driver not get in despite a win this year? Yeah, not all that close either. 12 drivers won races in 2015. That left 4 drivers to get in on points. All 12 drivers who got a win, they were in the chase. So there you go. So right now, not a problem.
Not a problem.
I know that was a problem with Colt Reese. Colt from Little Bit of R&R Barbecue, good friend of ours.
Yes.
He was thinking that maybe we might get 17, 18, 19, 20 wins. So far, haven't seen that.
Not yet.
I say so far. It could change.
It could happen.
Daytona International Raceway released some pictures, showed how the progress of their Daytona Rising project is going on. The project, a $400 million makeover of the crown jewel of NASCAR tracks, scheduled to be completed in time for the Daytona 500, showed that the new Tri-Oval Tower, where the scorers and the other NASCAR officials are going to be sitting along with TV and radio booths, the luxury suites are going to be located there as well. The tower itself is complete. They've installed the Daytona logo sign and the catchphrase, the World Center of Speed sign on the outside. They are still working on the entrances. I find this interesting. Their entrances are sponsored. Toyota, Chevrolet, Sunoco, and Florida Hospital specifically. All that's almost complete. The seating is almost totally installed. Quite frankly, it wasn't totally detailed what was left to be completed before race week, but they are probably, I would say, 3/4 of the way there.
I so want to go.
I'm going to be really intrigued, really, to find out.
Just go see it in person.
Go. All right. Tell you what, let's go to Late Model Mark over here first, and then we'll continue into some of the news here and bring in Late Model Mark. Hey, hello, sir. How are you?
Good. Good morning, gentlemen. I'm actually at home at this hour instead of driving around the streets throwing salty snacks up on the shelf. So it's good to be home. And
is this an off day or is just a later day for you?
No, it's actually an early day. I finished my stuff early and got home, and Mrs. Late Model Mark cooked me a wonderful breakfast.
Nice.
I'm feeling quite melancholy, if you
Where's
want to
our
pick my word.
At least sated, right?
Oh, good one, Steve.
Yeah.
I was listening to the radio yesterday and heard you had to defend yourself against that one particular gentleman about questioning your heart.
Yes.
You did a good job. And,
well, thank you.
So I haven't really heard a whole lot of the show this morning. I thought the last Formula One race there over there in the Middle East last Sunday was terrible. It was shocking.
They've got to figure out a competition side of things over there.
And, there's been less passing and more side-by-side action this year than in most. I mean, there's been some moments of stuff, but, like I always say, Bernie, lose the turbochargers and
bring back the old V8s.
You guys were talking about the different body styles, hopefully for next year and beyond, but it's just I'm going through a little racing withdrawals myself, and it's just rough this time of year. But you need an off season so you get pumped up for the new season, right?
Yeah, absolutely, definitely do. And I know that they're going to be doing a lot of modifications throughout the course of all the different series over there. So it's going to be interesting to watch the machinations, and let's just sit here and wait and know that we got the 24 hours of Daytona coming up, and that means that racing is so close at that point in time.
Yes. Steve, did you just say machinations?
Yes, I did. You like that?
That's impressive.
I'm breaking out my word
You've
of the day
gotten him
calendar.
Twice this morning, Steve.
That's right.
Wow.
Breaking up my word of the day calendar.
I got somebody you might want to look at down the road who could be another one of these young drivers that's going to make a little impact on things. Do you remember Dennis Setzer? And that's a duh.
Yeah. I do, yes.
Okay. He's got a young boy named Brandon who's been kind of doing well in the pavement late model things here in the Southeast, and he just won the Pass South finale at Hickory Motor Speedway over quite the stellar field, and I think that's going to be one of the drivers to watch. Oh, Steve, I'm going to get the phone ripped out of me. Mrs. Late Model Mark wants to say something to you.
Here it comes.
I just want to tell you that you won't be able to have Late Model Mark next Saturday. It's his birthday, and I'm taking him out of town to go.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
I know.
Where are you going?
Tunica.
Nice.
Anyway, love you guys. Here's Mark.
I love it. That's going to be a fun trip.
Yes, it is. Now the phone's back in my... But look for Brandon Setzer to maybe start making a name for himself. He's got a good ride, and the win against the field he ran against is pretty good. But short track Saturday, the 17th?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds like a winner.
I love it.
And Steve, I'm just passing on the message. I'm not doing any trashing of you guys from me, but I'm just passing on the message from a lot of my drag racing friends. They love the show, but they're begging for a little bit of drag racing coverage, whether it's national or regional. And I do that with love.
I know. Yeah, we know. And it is something that we've talked about, and we are actively looking at our schedule to see if we can fit in a little bit more time here. If we can expand out our show, which is something that is in the works, then that's something that we're definitely going to do is at NHRA at the very least.
Awesome, because being that I've been a drag racing junkie since 1964, I can help you in any way, shape, or form on that endeavor. But I hope you guys had a very good turkey. I know I talked to you last Saturday, and, you guys have really become something special to me, not just on the radio show, but when you came to the track a number of times this year, that was more meaningful than you'll ever know, and I really appreciate that. And we're going to try to get this Ice Bowl thing hooked up, and I love you guys, and you guys do just great things for racing, and I appreciate you very much, and I never take you for granted.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We'll say this right off the bat. Happy birthday a week early.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, we'll miss you next week, but enjoy the time in Tunica. Looking forward to hearing from you in 2 weeks.
Thank you. Well, you never know. I might get up early and call you from up there in the Tunica, Memphis area. And
not if Mrs. Late Model Mark has anything to say about it.
You're probably right. But you guys take care. And, one quick thing, and I'll get off the phone. The racing's not over in the South. This is the final weekend for any kind of racing here in the Southeast. Of course, the prestigious Snowball Derby is at Five Flag Speedway in Pensacola, Florida, tonight and tomorrow. Tonight's the Snowflake. Tomorrow's the Snowball Derby. And if you're in the North Georgia area, at North Georgia Speedway is the Turkey Rumble. It's a super late model special event, and then that will wrap it up until the Ice Bowl. So
there you go.
Just let your fans
Very
know.
Cool.
Steve, Dustin, thank you very much for all that you do. You guys are awesome, and we'll probably talk to you in 2 weeks and maybe next Saturday if I can sneak it in.
Sounds good, Mark. You have fun. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Take care, buddy.
He does mention Snowball Derby, Five Flag Speedway, Pensacola. Pretty easy to get to. If you know where the Pensacola Naval Air Station is, specifically the flight museum that's over there, it's not that far away from that.
I've seen it from a distance.
Yeah, it's. I was able to stay in a hotel that was actually about 2 miles away from Five Flag Speedway. They were closed off, and they didn't have a race that night. But it was. It looks like it's a pretty cool place to be. Several guys that I'm familiar with from out at the old Birmingham International Raceway. Larry Langford. They're down there racing. Congratulations to Dustin Knowles. Placed second last night in the activities and looking pretty good for tonight. Billy Melvin, among others. So plenty of Birmingham area racers out there. And speaking of the Snowball Derby, Margaret from Hoover checking in. Hi, Margaret.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
I was thinking about that and called in, and then he started talking about it. I was down in that area.
It was the perfect setup.
Yeah.
Y'all planned that.
Yes.
Thanksgiving over in Lillian, Alabama, just across the bridge, and you come out to wind through everything to get over to 29. And
sure.
It was all in the papers. They have a daily paper, the Pensacola Journal. Its news journal is still daily.
Yeah, well, we could say something about Alabama, but I'm going to leave that one alone. I'm going to leave it alone.
But when I left, I came out. I left down there Monday, and man, that place is going to be wrapped up this weekend.
Yep.
Seeing all that, and then I met a lot of vehicles going south that were pulling the big trailers behind them, and so I didn't realize it was the last one of the year. But my goodness, John Hunter Nemechek won that last year. He's going to be he's a good racer.
Yep, no doubt about it. Well, keep in mind, this was the race where Kyle Busch noticed and signed one Eric Jones. What was it, 2 years ago or 3 years ago?
2 years ago.
I think it was 2 years ago. He noted Eric Jones because Eric Jones beat him at Pensacola's Five Flag Speedway in the Snowball Derby, and Kyle Busch went, wow, I'm impressed, and signed the kid.
This is definitely a race you want to watch because you never know what type of talent is going to be there.
4 hours away, easy to get to. Go on down there, check out some great racing down there if you got the opportunity.
Wear a coat.
Yes.
Pardon me. I think there's one of the networks that kind of shows it on a delayed basis, but I do hope Nemechek can get some sponsoring for John Hunter, for their truck and stuff, because he's done well.
That he has. You're right.
All righty. Y'all have a good week here.
Thanks, Margaret.
Talk to you later.
All right. Sounds good. One more note on NASCAR, and I only mention this because I found this to be almost totally stupid.
Okay.
A deal has been struck between Eldora Speedway and a major sport that's going to affect the Mud Summer Classic.
Oh, yeah, I remember
According
this.
to NBCSports.com, deal's been struck between the small Ohio dirt track that hosts one of the most popular events in the top touring series of NASCAR. It's the only dirt race in the Camping World, Xfinity, or Sprint Cup Series. But a new name needed to be agreed upon because Major League Baseball complained to track officials, saying that the name Mud Summer Classic was only one letter off of the nickname of their All-Star game, the Midsummer Classic.
Oh, my gosh.
Track General Manager Roger Slack put out a press release, tongue firmly implanted in cheek, and said these words, quote, "We hope all of the baseball fans who traveled to Rossburg, Ohio over the past 3 years in anticipation of the Major League Baseball All-Star Game enjoyed the race and the $2 beers." Well, if you are the one person in the world, and I'm not even sure that there were one, who confused these two events, one might think something could have alerted you to being in the wrong place when you arrived in Rossburg, Ohio, a town of 200 people, mind you, instead of a city where this year's All-Star Game would be held, San Diego, California. San Diego, California is like the third or fourth biggest city in all of the state of California, and has a naval base.
Yeah.
So if you confuse the two, it's on you.
Why don't we call it the Mud Summer Brawl?
Here's the deal. By the way, a beer at this year's All-Star Game is going to be $5, just to let you know. For the record, the name is effectively the same, only instead of Mud Summer being all one word, they have agreed that Mud and Summer will now be two separate words.
I like it.
Good gosh almighty. You ever wanted to get your personal car out on a racetrack?
All the time.
Going to be in Napa Valley, California here about mid-January?
No, well,
sorry.
Okay.
If you were, you're going to be in luck.
Oh.
Sonoma Raceway, working in conjunction with the Sonoma chapter of the Speedway Children's Charities, great organization, going to host their third annual Laps for Charity event January the 16th. The experience for $150 gets you a pre-track briefing from professional drivers, unnamed at this time. 3 lead-follow laps around the course, the full 2.52 miles long, 12 turns, and they'll get you a good picture of your car on the course suitable for framing as well. And again, all proceeds go to benefit Speedway Children's Charities to help out charities for kids all around Sonoma County, California. Cool stuff. Now, if you want to go out there and put your car on a track, now you could go out there and you could do it, I don't know, you could do it stock.
Yeah.
But you might not get everything out of it. And therefore, people like to do a lot of modifications. We've seen all the speed shops and everything like that. That said, our good friends at Wild Vapors, they offer mods as well that help you with your experience in attempting to quit smoking.
Yeah, there is no attempt. You can do it with Wild Vapors. Down in Sylacauga and Alexander City, Shelly Bowman, Eddie Bowman, they're going to have the stuff to get you done. Christmas is coming. We were talking about it last week. You're thinking about that perfect gift for that loved one that does smoke. You want them to quit smoking. You need to take a trip down to Wild Vapors in Sylacauga and Alexander City. Talking about the mods, they've got some great mods coming in. I've got one of their newest additions, the Smock X Cube 2, 160 watts, and for $99.99, you can get one of these mods. But it's Christmas.
Yes.
You want to help somebody quit? I guarantee you this is the way. Starter kit's $30. That's a double kit. And the double kit has 2 batteries, 2 tanks, and the wall charger. All you got to do is buy the juice separately. That's the perfect gift for that loved one that you want to quit smoking. And now we have a great big thing going on with Wild Vapors. As a matter of fact, we're starting it this week. Go into the store, spend $20 or more. During this week, we're going to have new keywords. So every week, we're going to have a new keyword.
Okay.
This week's keyword, Steve, is pit stop. So if you go into Wild Vapors,
for a race fan to remember.
Yeah, definitely. If you go into Wild Vapors, you spend $20 or more. You get that starter kit for $30 for your loved one for Christmas. You're going to save $5 off your first purchase. So remember, keyword pit stop. Tell them you heard about them right here on the Fastest Hour in Radio. Stop smoking today. Start vaping. And vape with Wild Vapors in Sylacauga and Alexander City.
There you go. A couple of notes here as time is running out on us quickly. We've been talking about engines. Well, according to Formula One's governing body, FIA, they've approved an engine deal for Toro Rosso. They're going to return to running Ferrari engines beginning in 2016. Red Bull Racing, we talked about them having signed an engine deal, but they were not going to brand it as a Renault. They're going to brand it as the sponsor that they just signed away from McLaren. It's going to be the Tag Heuer engine. That's weird, but
confused.
Hey, whatever. Let's face it. Between Red Bull and Renault, they're not exactly great fans of each other, so that's the deal that they got. But Red Bull's going to be racing next year. Lotus team owners noted on Friday officially Renault has taken over the Lotus operation, so it will now be Lotus, no longer Renault. It is a works operation. Not sure what's going to happen to the driver, Pastor Maldonado. He wants to stay there, but we're not so certain that he will just yet. Also, interesting to note, World Motorsport Council has alerted both FIA President Jean Todt and Formula One head Bernie Ecclestone they need to shake things up in the world's premier traveling series. The vote was nearly unanimous that they must work up recommendations and decisions related to pressing issues in Formula One, such as governance, power units, and cost reduction. Things going to have to change over there in Formula One.
They need some changes.
We were just talking about it with late model Mark. He's very, very right. We could have gotten to a lot more stuff, but unfortunately time, as it always does, running out on us. We got to go.
See ya!